Up and running. There you go, Michael. How you feeling?
Feel good.
All right.
Look good, feel good, baby.
Bam, looking good, feeling good. Life is good. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Obsession Web Show. I'm Carl Belke.
Mike Sadler over here.
And we have another question from everybody. This one is actually from Scott. And Scott says, what are your guys' off-season prep? Basically meaning physical prep, physical body, equipment prep, and land prep. Let's start with the physical part first, that I didn't do a very good job of last year.
Fat guy, no coat.
Fat guy. What the hell?
That's terrible.
Yeah.
You can't say that.
You eating that little Debbie?
Yeah, gave that little Debbie a fatty.
Okay, well, I'll start this one out because I actually did not do what I should have done last year. Luckily, we were not mule deer hunting in North Dakota because I'd have been an absolute pile, and that would have pissed me off. So my background, when I was in the military, I was in the Air Force, and But that being said, the training and things when I was in the military was something that, had pride in your body anyway, and hunting is very physical. There's a certain individual that we spoke to or was friends with us for years, and his big thing was, well, you don't have to condition yourself or whatever, especially, we were talking about when we were out west, and that is BS, 100% BS.
Yes.
You work out and condition yourself, like Mike says to me many, many times, to make your hunt that much easier, right?
Yeah, control what you can control.
Yeah.
That is one thing I'll stress it a ton. You can control what kind of shape you're in.
100%.
You can't, there's enough other things that can go wrong that you can't control.
That's a fact.
So at least try to control what you can control. And that's what some of the stuff we're going to talk about in this podcast for sure.
Oh, yeah. So right now, both of us work out. Mike works out one day longer than I do right now, currently a week. I'm working out 5 days a week, and Mike, you're at?
Yeah, I'm at 6 days a week.
6 days a week. Now, obviously, you had gotten the flu.
Yep.
So there was maybe a day you didn't
I had the flu. I did miss a day, even though I was sick for 3 days.
Right.
But always trying to do something. Was there again this morning.
Oh.
It's huge to me to hunt. I want to hunt. I want to bow hunt.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go back into the mountains again.
Yes.
Which is, if you've never been there, get ready for it. It's a lot of work.
It will kill you.
It is huge. I see a lot of too on the TV now. Some of these guys, they show themselves working out and everything. I just think it's kind of funny.
Yeah. You don't have to show yourself
Show
to
them
make
working out.
I'm some sort of badass. Look at me, I'm in the gym.
Yeah, it's a lot of conditioning, and I hunt as much as I possibly can, and I work out way more than that.
Yeah, you do.
I'm always doing something, and it's so that I can hunt. I don't work out for anybody else.
Nope.
I don't care how people think I look.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
I'm not a gene model.
Right.
So
You sure?
I'm pretty sure.
You could be a hand model.
I could be a hand model. That's a pretty good hand. This one's a little beat up, but
Yeah.
but yeah. I mean, to me, it's 100%. That's my goal. That's what keeps me going to the gym.
Yeah.
You know.
And there's times, I know for a fact, our mule deer hunts, that if we hadn't conditioned, we probably wouldn't be would have been unsuccessful. I mean, I've watched Mike sprint up a 400-foot ridge. I mean, I'm talking a sprint, and I know for a fact he just got to the top, fell over dead, and
That
died.
was close.
But up to the top of the ridge or something like that, where the average person couldn't even walk to the top of the ridge without being crazy winded. Or we've chased mule deer 2 or 3. Well, you had to cut 2 or 3 miles, pretty much a dead run the entire time to get in front of them to shoot them.
Yep.
So same thing there. Black bear hunting, even though a lot of people talk about, you just sit in a stand over bait. Well, there's a lot involved with a hunt, getting to where your stand was. When you got to hike a couple miles to get to where your stand is. Don't ever doubt that. You're carrying full equipment if we're carrying camera gear or what we're carrying. There's not very many times that we're going into the woods where we don't have 40 pounds of gear on our shoulders with a backpack.
And the cold weather.
Well, that's a big one.
You can handle the cold weather a lot better if you're in better shape.
Right. And your age does depend on it too. I mean, I'm 53 years old. When I was 25 to 30 years old, obviously it took less for me to be conditioned as it does now. So for me right now, just going back, like I said, last year I kind of slacked off a little bit, a lot of it due to this COVID crap, where I live in Dane County in Wisconsin. The People's Republic is what I like to call it.
Republic of Dane.
Yeah, they all want to limit you. You have to wear a mask in the gym, and you have to do this, and you have to do that. Well, if you can't breathe when you're working out either, that's not a good thing. And breathing through a mask under heavy stress conditions is not really good for your entire body. And there isn't a doctor out there that won't tell you that, yeah, breathing through a mask is not great for you. And if they do, they're lying. That simple. Just my opinion. I don't care. I'm fucking saying it. How's that?
You put it out there.
Right. So, but now I'm back and I go early in the morning and I don't wear my damn mask. And nobody says anything because there's 3 other guys in the gym and none of us wear a mask.
Right.
So that's how it is. I'm putting it out. But that's how that's how I'm doing. I starting back right now is basically getting, the first week was basically aerobically, basically running. I would run 3-4 miles every day and just kind of getting so I can breathe better again, because under weight training, you do breathe hard. And if you can't breathe and still continue to push to lift, I think you just don't get the workout that your body needs to get your muscle where it needs to be. He knows more about that than me because he's done personal training for quite a few years.
Yeah, I've been a personal trainer since '99. Doesn't mean I'm any better at it than anybody else. I need the motivation, I need to be pushed too. Same thing, military background, Marine Corps, hoorah.
Hoorah.
Baby. But of course I was only about 160 pounds then too, so it's a lot easier to do things. But conditioning is just huge. Breathing comes into it too. Even shooting your bow, drawing back on a big animal.
That's what I mean.
Being able to control that. Especially spot and stalking, which we do a lot of out west. Anything in the mountains is horrendous, even in shape. To get acclimated to.
Yeah.
I'm in a gym 6 days a week. Sometimes I'll even tip that 7th day. I feel like I got to be doing something. I know we do a lot of running around with our bows, stopping shooting, trying to control breathing, to make long distance shots, stuff like that. I believe it's a huge key to it. I have a lot of friends of mine I know want to be a big hunter, do this, do that, but physically you're not gonna be able to do it. And takes you out of the game. You're out of the game.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. The certain individual that I spoke about earlier, he told us both in one particular hunt that you don't have to be in good condition to shoot a mule deer. Well, that's complete and utter bullshit. You have to be in really good condition to shoot a mule deer. And elk hunting, obviously, anything out west is no different, because you have to be able to cover a lot of ground on your feet, sometimes at a rapid speed. What Mike talked about is being able to control your heart rate during a shot, be able to make that shot hold solid enough to make a shot. And when we're talking a shot out west, a 50-yard shot's short.
Yeah.
We've taken many mule deer at that 70 to 80 yards. That seems kind of more common anymore for us. 70-yard shot is a common shot.
I welcome a 70-yard shot.
Yeah.
I feel very comfortable with that.
Yeah. Once I hit 95, 100, at that point,
A lot of variables.
Percentage goes down. But the other part of it, besides our conditioning for your body and things like that, it's making sure your shooting stays straight. So your equipment, things like that. So last year, Mike and I shot Broadhead League together. And for us, the reason we shoot Broadhead League is because you're shooting your hunting bow and your hunting equipment.
Yes.
So you guys that go out and grab your bow 2 weeks before the season and start shooting your field points, and go out and put a fixed blade head on your bow or on your arrows, and you go out and you shoot and it doesn't hit the same damn spot as your field point. Okay? The shop owners go crazy, because trust me, I'm a shop owner. And
That's true.
You guys, if you're going to shoot a fixed blade head, you tune your bow to that fixed blade head. You don't tune it to your field point, then throw a fixed blade head on it. and expect it to hit perfectly the same.
And this is where we're gonna get all those people yelling at us.
Oh, I know.
I wait for
But
it.
I
It'll
don't
be
care.
fun. It'll be fun.
I don't care.
But yeah, if you're expecting a broadhead to shoot the same as your field point, you're really out there.
You're lying to
And
yourself.
I don't care how good your bow is tuned. And this guy knows bows better than anybody I know. I don't do a lot of my own bow tuning. I can set up my sights, do that kind of stuff. But I check my own bow
Yeah.
constantly. I shoot my bow every day. You shoot your bow every day?
I do shoot my bow.
There you go. See, that's hard.
Now, I don't shoot 1,000 arrows every day, but I'll shoot
No.
10 to 15
You
arrows.
don't need to.
No.
And I tell guys this, and I know I've told you, if you walk out and you shoot 1 arrow a day,
Oh, yeah.
1 arrow a day, it makes a huge difference.
Oh, yeah, you'd be surprised. The 1 arrow a day thing is actually really good comment. So think of it this way. You go out, you get in your tree, right? And that big buck or whatever you're going to shoot comes by. That big deer comes by. And he's going to give you that 30, 35 yard shot with that 6-inch hole at 28 yards, right? And you get one shot to make this successful, right?
Right.
That 1 arrow a day is that one freaking shot. And I don't care if it's 20 below zero, 30 below zero, whatever.
80 degrees.
90, 110.
That goes back to conditioning.
Ugh, yeah, well, there we are. But basically, that's exactly what we're talking about, is you have to be able to make that shot. And that one shot a day gives you the confidence you need to make that shot.
Yeah.
Now, as our season progresses, so as we get closer to, say, we're going out west, we'll start shooting longer yardages.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Be able to shoot your equipment long yardages.
You could turn around, Carl, and look out my door right now, and you're going to see some flags planted all the way around my driveway.
I do see those.
And those are yardage markers.
Imagine that.
Yeah, it's crazy talk.
Yeah.
And I back up to those. Carl has the same thing set up at his house. Maybe today I'm going to shoot 20. Maybe today I'm going to shoot 60.
Right.
Maybe today I suck.
There's
Maybe tomorrow I'm great, but every day I'm going to throw some arrows in. And a lot of this land prep, body prep, equipment prep is repetition.
100%.
So repetition is what makes you better. Ain't never going to make you great.
No.
It's going to make you better and consistent.
If you ever consider yourself great, you're losing already.
That's true.
You can be good. Fair.
I'm fairly average.
I'm fairly average.
At best.
Yeah.
But it's especially with the bow shooting though, like you're really doing a dishonor to any animal if you're not putting your time in with that equipment. And don't, people are, oh my God, they're going to get mad at me. But don't get me wrong, people make bad shots.
Oh, yeah.
I make bad shots.
It's happened to everybody.
I didn't make a great shot this year on one of the deer, it was good enough.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, you put him down, but it didn't kill him right away.
Right.
So, and everybody wants that clean kill. Nobody wants to see that, struggle around to do that or whatever. And it's going to happen. But preparing yourself for that, mentally, physically, equipment,
Your equipment, the big thing about equipment wise too is, to me, be ready to charge it. Uh-oh. People are already asking questions. I'm shutting it down.
That's what they think about.
Oh boy. Yeah. Be willing to change certain things on your equipment too. I don't know. Mike and I will test stuff all the time. Now we're fortunate enough to maybe have an advantage sometimes in testing certain equipment. But the one thing that you have to be able to do is keep an open mind. I'm not going to tell you not to shoot an expandable. There's certain expandables I don't like. Okay, and we can talk about that in future shows. But I know a fixed blade head has less variables. Okay, so you don't have to worry about a mechanical piece on that head not opening, right? Because your blades are exposed.
Correct.
It's going to hit, it's going to punch, it's going to cut, and then guess what? It's going to come out the other side. Did you hear what I just said?
What is that?
Out the other side.
No pass-through action there.
Huh.
Gotta love that.
2 holes are better than 1.
That's true.
And of course, we're going to get yelled at on that one too. But that being said, I know that there's less variables to go wrong. Our equipment is, I don't want to even say fairly simple because it's not fairly simple, but it's very reliable over the years that we've gone, and our rests, the way our rests are, what rest we use, why we use that rest. We can always talk about all of that stuff. The bows that we have, why we use the bow that we shoot. If you shoot a lot, you'll realize that there's a certain configuration that you are more prone to have, or more prone to shoot accurately out at yardages, and more prone to shoot for hunting. It isn't because, let's just say we're going to take a long axle-to-axle bow with a big brace height. Everybody in the world will tell you that's the most forgiving bow out there in the world. Well, if you guys start looking at the new bows and things like that, all the new bows are short brace height, shorter axle-to-axle. Okay, well, what configuration works best for you? To me, it's a body structure thing. You know, Mike's 6'2", I'm 5'10", 5'11", but we both shoot the same bow. So there's a certain string angle that we're more comfortable with, and it happens to be about 33-inch axle to axle with a 6.5-inch brace height. So that being said, you know, that's what future bows, if we change anything, future bows will be that same configuration, because that's what we shoot most accurately during our hunting situations. So you can figure that out for yourself. That's the equipment part of it. Always check your strings and cables. Don't go to your local archery shop the day before bow season and say, hey, I need new strings and cables. Because guess what? Number one, you're not getting in. Number two, when they put that all together, you actually have to account for string stretch and all of that. I know it's crazy talk.
Are you sure about that?
I'm just saying.
I thought you were just good to go.
Well, right. Yeah, you would be kind of close if you're going to shoot a whitetail at 20, 30 yards.
Yeah, you're going to be in the ballpark.
Are you going to do on a mule deer at
You're not
60
gonna
or
do
70?
well.
No, probably not. So that's the equipment part of things. Land prep wise, we're always
Yeah, that's nonstop. I mean, really, if you are fortunate enough to have your own land, it's awesome. And don't think that we have always had that.
no,
we have not.
As of the last 2 or 3 years,
Yeah.
is we've actually purchased our own
Yeah,
property.
I purchased mine in 18,
And mine was in 19.
and Carl's was in 19. Before that, we went where we could go.
Yeah.
People let us. We had some leases, friends that had places for us to go,
Yeah.
public.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like we've always had that. If you're lucky enough, like I said, to have your own land, whatever that is, if you got a 5-acre piece of woods off the back of your house that you can hunt, or whatever.
Hey, I know a guy who shot some pretty good Pope and Young deer off the same 5 acres, 10 acres.
No way.
Yeah,
I don't believe it.
I could show you the wall.
I'm pretty sure.
But yeah,
that land prep never stops. We've talked about this in earlier podcasts about how getting into the later time of the year, December, January, is when you start to do a lot of your timber management.
Yep.
Stuff like that. Obviously, your food plots, water holes,
Yep.
things like that are always going to be in the the early summer months. But a lot of the timber management happens now.
100%.
Which right now we're before Christmas.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you should. I mean, what's really going to happen here is come January, Mike and I are going to actually walk around both of our properties, and we're going to discuss, what we're seeing on each other's property. We're make suggestions to each other, and then the guy who owns that particular property is going to make the decisions on it. But that being said, we've got a lot of work to do on both properties to help make us successful the next year. Mike might have a little bit less stuff to do this year than I do. We'll see.
I don't know about
There's a
that.
lot of plans.
Yeah,
there's a lot of plans.
There's a lot of work to do on both, I think, and well, I guess what we're getting at is all of this goes back to consistency. It's not a couple of month, a year thing.
No.
You're not going to. I mean, unless you got some honey hole where somebody's throwing you in a stand, you're shooting big
Is
deer.
there such thing as a honey hole?
I
Where
don't.
there's a big deer.
I'd like
every
to take
year?
it.
I know.
I'd go there.
I'd pay for it.
Yeah, I won't pay a lot.
No, I don't have
poor.
the money anyway. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of work, and people that are putting that time in and succeed, I think it's awesome. I love to see it. People that are jealous of you for doing it, that's not people that you want to
No.
surround yourself with anyway. You're not going to get there.
No.
It takes work. Anything worth having is worth working for. That's one of the biggest things I've always said. So
Yeah. Well, if you're going to be successful, you're going to have done work. It's that dang simple. I mean, I don't think there's not a day that we don't think about deer hunting. It's constant. Like, I'm at work, I'm thinking about deer hunting.
mm-hmm.
I might be working, but I'm thinking about deer hunting.
Right.
Or I'm trying to figure out something to do with deer hunting. you know. And like Mike said, I think it comes down to consistency and repetition, the repetition part of it. So you need to make deer hunting part of your life every day if you're going to be successful, I think.
Yes, for sure.
It's, you know, you're not going to shoot, I probably shouldn't say this, but in the real world, normal world, you're not going to shoot 170-inch deer every year. The people that do usually spend a lot of money and somebody else does all the work for them. I'm not going to lie. That's just how I see it.
Yeah.
You know, for me, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I wouldn't go on a guided hunt or anything like that, because obviously we've both been on a guided hunt before. But these guys put a lot of work so you could be successful.
Yeah.
They're doing it 365 days a year, so you could be successful. They're getting paid to do that part of it. If you're gonna want to be successful, I don't care if you're hunting public land. Right now, if you're hunting public land, as soon as the season is over, get your butt out on that land and start learning something. You know, a structure change for Mike and I can be as simple as on our own properties, you know, the edge to the food plot, or, you know, the corn to the wood line, basically the same thing as what I just said. But on a public land, it could be swamp edge to tree line. It can be elevation change, hardwoods. It could be hardwoods to conifers, so pine trees or something like that. I mean, how many bucks did you shoot on our lease that we had that were hardwoods to pines?
Oh, probably a half a dozen.
Yeah.
I've been out of the same corner where it transitioned like that.
Right. Or the creek line, a crossing on a creek line. That's, I mean, you know, Mike's seen it this year at my property. He had rat come to 60 yards. And rat was a little bit uneasy for some reason, and he turned and he crossed at the specific spot. Well, yesterday when I was there, guess what? There's a great big trail that runs right through that. Yeah. And the reason, it wasn't that he was nervous, it's just that's where he was going to turn.
Yeah, he was going there no matter what.
Yeah. So, public land, same thing. Find them transitions, those crossings. Find the bedding area. Now, you know, right now, obviously, it's a good time to go in. If you've got a swampy area on the public land when everything's frozen, you can get in there and learn where the bucks are bedding. You know, little knolls or something in swamps. How many times have we been in there and there's like a little knoll and it's like 10 feet by 10 feet and boom, there's 3 beds on that thing. So.
Yeah, bucks in public land, unlike private land, are going to be back in and deep.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're pressured.
Yep.
You know, they're pressured. So they are back in there deep. And, you know, most people on public land, you see 30 people on 2 acres.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's easy to get to. Well, don't go there.
No.
Keep going.
Because there won't be deer there.
They're going to be deer there. They're going to push them out. You know, a pressured deer is a pressured deer. Doesn't matter where it is.
Yeah. And then here's the other thing, too. If you're hunting in Wisconsin, just for all of you who don't know, you're hunting pressured deer. I don't care if you got private land or not.
Always.
Because there are far more hunters in Wisconsin than in a lot of states. So your deer are pressured. Bow season starts, guess what? There's guys in the woods. And probably quite a few of them.
Yeah, day one.
And maybe they don't have the knowledge that you have. They're younger, they're just starting out. A lot of these guys are like 16, get their driver's license, and bam. They're heading out and they get to a public land or whatever else, or they've got, you know, 10 or 12, 13, and dad says, okay, you can go hunt on so-and-so's, you know, or hunt on such and such spot. Well, then the kid doesn't have a lot of patience. He gets in there, he starts wandering around, and next thing you know, he thinks he finds, you know, a certain stand he likes. Well, here it's dad's rut stand. And boom, he pops up in dad's rut stand, and it's the second day of bow season, which is in the middle of the bedding area. I'm just saying. So you're always hunting pressured deer. Look at it this way too. If I got 40 acres and right next to Mike's, and my exit is on the edge of Mike's property, well, you can't have, you know, Mike's not going to put his main attracting food plot or something right on that property edge, because he knows that the neighbor's coming in and out of that property right there. So that's not really going to be a good situation there either. Kind of try and pattern your neighbors as much as you pattern the deer.
Yeah, really 100%. They're going to dictate a lot of your movement.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's a lot of scouting.
Lots of scouting.
A lot of knowing what's going on, a lot of prep. Again, it's repetition constantly. You can't shoot a deer and just go sit on your couch.
No.
You can, You're probably not gonna do it the next year, and the year after that, and the year after that.
That or you're spending a lot of money and somebody else is doing all your work for you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I look at it. What we do for prep, like Mike said, is we work at it 365 days a year. For you guys, you know, right now I think you should probably, for me, we're gonna, like yesterday I was at my land, just did a quick walk around, kind of went through the food plots and stuff, just checking to see if there were any sheds or anything. Obviously nothing fell early. But here in January, we're going to go around after the holidays. We'll go around and we'll look at everything, and we will immediately start making adjustments on our property, whether it be, you know, timber stand improvement stuff, cutting trails, making food plots bigger, marking out where I'm going to put my food plots for this next year. So when I come in with the equipment, I can do that. You know, equipment wise, we also have to take care of not just our bows, our arrow setup, all of that, but now that we have our own property, we have equipment that we use to do our food plot stuff.
Yep.
So, ATV stuff, all of that, you gotta, it's like changing your oil in a vehicle. You gotta make sure you maintain your equipment.
Yeah, you got, and another thing, your clothes.
Oh,
You keep track of your clothes. It's not just your bow, it's your clothes.
Yeah.
Tractors, equipment, stands.
Stands are a big one.
If you got climbing sticks, if you got ladder stands, if you got hang-ons, whatever you got, blinds.
Yep.
You better be, that's all stuff that needs attention also. You can't just go get in and out of it year after year.
Yeah, you can do one or two things. You could pull down your stands. I'm not a firm believer of pull down my stands, but I do go and check my stands in the spring, and then again, I will check them in July and make sure the straps and everything are good, make sure everything's good. You gotta look at the metal, look at the bolts, look at all of that stuff. If you have lock-ons, I think it's probably more prone to tearing the lock-on out of the tree, I'll be honest with you, because a lock-on, not always, but sometimes, you just don't notice some of the points. Remember, lock-on hinges, or if you get rust on it and all of a sudden it gets weak, you've seen people break at the base, things like that. Or your cables are probably number one on a lock-on. Yeah. But that's kind of what I think we do mostly. I mean, you got anything to add there?
No, probably not. I mean, maybe people are wanting us to get in more of the specifics, but we're going to get into that as we, start breaking stuff down.
Right.
When we're getting into, main setup, stuff like that. But it's really, I think what we're trying to convey to you is get a mindset that you gotta be doing this year round.
Yeah, 100%.
To be successful. And any big whitetail hunter, mule hunter, elk hunter, whatever you want, any animal out there, they're planning that year round. They're working for that year round. If you're on TV, not on TV, could be a guy that lives right next to you. Maybe he's got 50 heads in his basement.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know that. You think he doesn't know nothing.
Yeah. Well, maybe he just doesn't talk about it.
Maybe he just doesn't talk about it. So everybody puts his work in. So that's the biggest thing. Put your work in. Put your time in. Get that mindset. Get out there and work. Get in the gym. Shoot your bow. Shoot your bow. Shoot your bow.
Yeah. Shoot your bow. Shoot your bow. Get in the gym. Aerobic conditioning, weight training is important because you're using a lot of different muscles when you're shooting a bow. You'd be surprised. I don't know how many of those guys that pick up the bow 2 weeks before the season, they shoot 20 arrows, whatever. I see them every year.
I'm good at 20.
Yeah, paper plate guys.
Paper plate.
Yeah.
I think I'm good at 20.
If I'm not hitting a 3-inch circle at the middle of the paper plate at 100, I'm a little angry.
You're not good at 20.
Yeah, you're not. A paper plate is not good. If you're shooting 20 yards and you're not hitting a quarter, then there's something wrong. But that's just an opinion on it. Obviously kill zones on animals are a little bit bigger. But that being said, we're probably gonna end the podcast here. If you guys want us to get into more detail on things, throw your comments down here. We appreciate all the comments you guys have been giving us. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're gonna get into detail on stuff, individual layouts, and we'll talk more about equipment. But we're getting into, the beginning of the year. We're just kind of getting the podcast going. We want to hear what you guys want to talk about. More importantly, how much detail you really want us to get into. We'll do the whiteboard thing here in the next 2 or 3 shows.
Whiteboard.
We're going to break it down on the whiteboard stuff. But that'll be easier for us to show layouts and get into exactly what we're talking about so people can see. I know that people have already asked us to do that part of it. So, all right. Thanks for listening to The Obsession. we'll talk to you guys next week.